could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello everyone, today we're meeting Logan Lessar. He is a National Motocross Champion, a business owner, and online coach. Hello Logan, thank you for joining us today.
Hey Anna, thanks for having me on. I've been looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you. So let's start a conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you
Yeah.
to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
It's been quite the journey because obviously I started with motocross racing. I pretty much done that all my life. I got on my first bike when I was like 2 and then raced. I think when I was like 8 is when I started, but since then and that's made up the majority of my life. And then I ended up getting into business at 15 and was kind of like playing a balancing act between business and racing because I was racing at a national level and still trying to build my business. And I was also traveling and living in Cape Town, South Africa part-time throughout the year. So between that, racing and training, and then trying to build a business. So it was definitely chaotic. And then I eventually came to the realization that I needed to kind of figure out what I wanted to go all in on because my business was doing okay. And I was basically running a marketing agency, which I'm still running that right now. But my business was going okay, but it was kind of just remaining stagnant, like it wasn't growing. And I basically decided and realized I was like, okay, if I really want this to grow and take this to the next level, I need to go all in on it. And I can't kind of be on and off with it and going from the racing and training to that. Because when I was at the training facilities, I kind of get the bare minimum done with the business, which I'm sure that most business owners and entrepreneurs can agree that in order to grow your business, you have to go above and beyond, not do the minimum. So that kind of was a realization I had. And then I just ended up doing quite a bit of thinking and reaching out to people I know and stuff to kind of figure out what the right path was for me or what the right choice was. And I decided to go all in on business, which I also believe that life is broken up into different seasons. You know, like my first season was obviously racing and going all in on that. And now I'm just simply in a season of building my business, my personal brand, all those types of things. And I might have another season that comes where I go back to racing. So yeah, but it's definitely been quite the journey so far.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like led you to realize that right now this is something you should be focusing on. And in order to perform at your best, what are the habits or daily practices that you
Yeah.
use consistently in order to, feel at your best, like 100% that you can give it to your business right now?
Yeah, so the number one thing in terms of habits is going to the gym basically every day, which I go like 6 days a week. I do take a day off because it is important to let the body rest, but I go to the gym because obviously I want to get in really good shape and everything and stay healthy. But one of the main reasons is because of the mental clarity that it gives me and how it makes me feel for the rest of the day. And it also, I start my day with gym first thing in the morning, 99% of the time, unless if something comes up. And I start it at the beginning of the day because it just starts my day with a massive win. And I just did something really, really difficult. So immediately, I'll get up at 4 a.m., get to the gym by 5, and then I'll be leaving the gym by like 6:30. And it's only 6:30 in the morning. Most people still aren't up yet. And I'm already feeling at like my highest state that I'll probably feel throughout the entire day because I just got a really good session at the gym and everything. And I know that I just did something that's going to make me better, both physically and mentally. And it just sets me up for a really good day moving forward. And I've noticed that 100% because literally on the days that I don't go to the gym or I don't work out or do some form of exercise, I genuinely just don't feel as good on those days. And it's so I've noticed how much it has an effect on me like mentally. But aside from that, I really like waking up super early. it kind of goes hand in hand with the working out, because waking up early is also just a massive win. Like when I get up at 4 a.m., then for the rest of the day, I have that win that I can look back on and I'll be like, I woke up at 4 a.m. like I did something really difficult and I accomplished that, because waking up really early when that alarm goes off is very difficult. And especially when it's like 4 o'clock in the morning when most people are not up yet and most people are still sleeping, that's like a major win to start the day off with. So I like to do that. And to be honest, I like absolutely am so irritated with myself if I sleep in. Like even if I sleep in till 6 in the morning, I'm like very irritated, because that was 2 hours that I could have either already gotten my workout in or gotten some work done or something. And so it's very like irritating to me. But aside from that, kind of throughout the day, I just use a lot of the things that I've learned with mindset and different like tricks, or not tricks, but practices, I guess you could say, that kind of allow me to reset my mind if I need to, or get myself back to focusing on what I'm working on, and all kinds of things like that. So throughout the day, it's really, I think 99% of the time, regardless of what you're doing, I think your day is mostly made up of a competition, or not a competition, but a battle between you and that little voice that's in your head that's trying to keep you from doing the things that you need to do in order to get you where you want to go. So I've just kind of figured out the best ways for me in order to win that battle more times than I lose it. So that's kind of the things that make up my day.
Yeah, it's always we are, distracted with what's going on right now in our life, especially like social media. People do different
Yeah.
activities throughout the day, which distract them from what really matters. And in order for them to focus on that thing that they love doing, they have to push themselves and like really remind themselves what is important. And those practices, like you mentioned, first starting your early morning with going to gym or other exercises. For somebody, maybe it's running or yoga, right?
Yeah.
Meditation, some kind of practice that will really set your mind to focus on what is important, and also like gives you this energy level where you operate from your optimal state, and you have that throughout the day, because it really depends how you start your day and what is the intention that you set for your day. And
Yeah.
then it will unfold in a different type of opportunities that come your way, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And my perspective on like morning routines and stuff changed quite a bit, because originally, like last year, I hated morning routines and everything. I would go more with Alex Hormozzi's form of like a morning routine, which is wake up whenever you wake up. But I was waking up decently early consistently, and just waking up, making my coffee and sitting down and getting to work on my computer. And then I would go to the gym like more later in the day. But now I've kind of switched that, and I'd like to go to gym first thing in the morning, which kind of just sets me up for the day. It gives me that time to just get, first of all, get gym out of the way so that I don't have to do it later in the day. I could just do it, and then I could focus on whatever else I need to do for the remainder of the day. But also it just sets me up really well mentally, physically, everything, just to really tackle my day. But in the past, I didn't like the idea of morning routines, because I would I would try all these different types of morning routines out there, because there's so much stuff on like YouTube and social media of my $1 million morning routine or the perfect morning routine or whatever it is. And it's all this stuff of like wake up and then do your affirmations and then write down what you're grateful for and then meditate and then take a cold shower and then read for 30 minutes and then blah, 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 blah. And I would just find, after I would try that stuff, and sometimes, yeah, I'd kind of enjoy it. But for me personally, it would be, I'd maybe wake up at say 5 in the morning. It would be 7 o'clock and I haven't even done any work or anything. And that would just irritate me so much. I'm like, what did I just do for the last 2 hours? Like, what I wake up early for? And I was talking with my a family member about this recently, and I was explaining that to her, and I was like, it's 7 o'clock and I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. And she was telling me, well, yeah, you have accomplished stuff because you meditated, you read all these things. And I was like, yeah, but for me personally, that is not accomplishing something. Like, accomplishing something is something that is going to move me in the direction that I'm looking to go and get me closer to my overall vision, goal, whatever it is, which I think meditating, reading, all those things are great. However, those are not the things that are going to move the needle the most for me. So when it's like first thing in the morning, if I wake up at 5, the best feeling in the world is when it's like 7 o'clock and I've already accomplished a bunch of things that's going to move me forward. And gym does that because obviously that's me getting in shape and that's me setting up the rest of my day to be able to be more productive. Or what I would do in the past is I would literally just wake up, make my coffee, and I'd be sitting down working within 15 minutes of waking up. And then 2 hours later, when it's 7 o'clock, I've already gotten a bunch of my work done and I'd feel great. I'd feel like, wow, I just accomplished a bunch of things. So that was kind of my perspective on why I didn't like morning routines and kind of why I shifted to what I'm doing now.
Oh, definitely. And that works for you. So it's like we have to find our own optimal way of starting that morning every single day. And with trial and error, you already know that this is the best way for you to accomplish
Yeah.
something. So you don't have to follow somebody else's advice if it's not working for you. You can listen, you can try, but
Yeah.
eventually we have to discover for ourselves what is the best way. And also, like, you are so young and you already accomplished a lot in your life. Some people in your age, like, they just don't know what they're doing and they just, like, automatically kind of like living their life by default, I would say. They're not focused on
Yeah.
what is important. And I think also the most important message for people to start their own businesses is to start the earlier than you can. Like, you started at
Yeah.
15, which is like amazing. And I never heard of a lot of people doing it at that age. They don't even know what they want, but even
Yeah.
not thinking about starting something like on their own. And a lot of times we don't realize what could be done in 3, 5 years from today. And we have to be committed to that process. We should know it will take time, but at the same time, we have to be focused on how we manage our time today, now, because
Yeah.
that's what the power is. And that's where you can move closer to your vision or your goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I always say is a year from now, you'll wish you started a year ago. And like a big one, for example, is with social media. And if you're trying to build a personal brand, like I'm trying to build right now, I know for a fact, like I wish I would have started that a year ago because I already know how far I could have already came. But at the same time, instead of looking at that way, I just look at it and I'm like, I'll wait a year from now. I'll be glad that I started a year ago, aka today, and I stayed consistent because a year from now, I can only imagine where it's going to be at that point. So it's really just about getting started early. And then even what you mentioned regarding the morning routines and everything, that that can that connects with everything in life. What I've found is that you really just got to find what works for you. And the only way to do that is not by watching YouTube videos, is not by reading books, is not by doing anything. It's about trying it and actually like putting it into practice. Because on paper, like those morning routines of wake up, read, meditate, like all those things, that sounds great. That sounds like somebody, like some successful person would do that. But then when I try it, I'm like, okay, I don't like this. This feels to me like a waste of time. Like I feel like there's other things I should be spending my time doing. But at the same time, the family member I talk to, she does those long morning routines, but that's what works for her. So it's just figuring out what works for you. But no, I don't. I hate when I hear people say like I'll start tomorrow or I'll start then. Like even my I've got my dad on my physic or my fitness program and everything, and he's been tracking his macros and getting in shape and working out and everything. Well, he went to this national race with my brother like a week or two ago, and he kind of fell off the tracks with that, which I was kind of expecting. But he came back and I was like, all right, you ready to get back on the program? And he's like, nah, I'm gonna have one more week. I'll start next week. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is the benefit of waiting one more week? Like, what are you gonna gain from that? Nothing. Like even what you're going to be doing, enjoying your foods or whatever, that is so temporary. Like you could get a week of progress right now, but instead you're putting it off a week. Like I hate the concept of that. I like to start immediately.
Yes, and also you're gonna see the results, again, not overnight. Like a lot of people
Yeah,
look at those overnight successes on social media, and that's what really like we started compare ourselves to those people, but we see the end product. We don't see the behind
yeah,
the scene action that's been going on maybe for years, right? And
yeah,
again, like it's in a way stopping us from doing anything overall because we think, oh, maybe they are better than me in some kind of way. But again, if you believe in your own abilities that you can do something, you can just start with one step after another, but be consistent and see for yourself what you can accomplish. And I think also the confidence, it's a skill, like it grows over time. And with
yeah.
more evidence that you've shown yourself that you can, the more confident you become.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like public victories versus private victories because on social media, first of all, a lot of it is, especially in like the business entrepreneur space, so much of it is fake and rented cars and fake social media and all this stuff. So that's one thing that I think people need to keep in mind is that most of the stuff they're going to see on there is just people totally faking their lives. But for the ones that are real, what they're showing on social media is the public victories, but what people didn't see are those small private victories that they had all throughout the years, just working and working and working and getting those small little wins that consistently built up so that they were able to have that massive public victory. So that's something that I think so many people skip or they miss and they don't think about is they just see that public victory and they get super jealous and irritated and angry. And hey, I do the same thing. Like sometimes I'll see on social media some young gun who's posting and they're living life out in Dubai with like a supercar or something. And then I'm sitting there irritated. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what their path was. I don't know what brought them there. I don't know if this is even real or not. But I try to just turn that into motivation of like, if they were able to do it, I know I can. I just need to get back to work and get back to it. And then even going back to the whole delaying stuff, like I'll wait till next week or I'll wait till tomorrow, whatever. For me personally, I hate doing that because if I'm waiting to do start something to like tomorrow or whatever, all I can think about is I just delayed my goal or vision or whatever it is. I just delayed it by a day or I just delayed it by a week potentially. Like by pushing this off to tomorrow, I might have just delayed getting to where I want to go by a whole week or something like that. So I prefer to start right now. And then in terms of that, even when I go to bed at night, like I love it when I am just exhausted from just getting so much done that day. And the most irritated that I feel, even my family has noticed it whenever I'm hanging out with them sometimes. If I go on like a vacation or something, and which I'm going to in a couple weeks, but if I go on a vacation with my family, like I have to still get work done and everything, or else I'm usually I get better at obviously controlling and everything. But in the past, I would be so bad to hang out with because I just had like this chip on my shoulder and I'd be irritated because I just knew that I didn't get anything done that day and I didn't move the needle forward and I kind of remained stagnant that day. And that just irritates me. Like I like growth and I like by the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I just moved the needle forward. I just got things done that will get me close to where I'm looking to go. And if I didn't, then I'm irritated with myself. So I just hate the whole delaying it and everything. But that's just the mindset that I kind of have around it.
Yeah, definitely. And imagine you met yourself 5 years younger, right? Right now,
Yeah.
what advice you would give to yourself back then that you know now?
I would probably tell myself 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I didn't even know what business entrepreneurship was, funny enough. But if I was to talk to myself when I was first starting business, I would say first of all, like consistency is the name of the game. Like you need to stay consistent. That's one big thing. And then you just need to try a lot of different things and understand not everything is going to work. Because, and that's what you're going to learn the most from is those mistakes and everything. So you just need to keep trying a lot of different stuff and going all in on whatever it is you're doing. Like, don't half-ass things. Like you can't just kind of try this and kind of try this at the same time and kind of try this. because then nothing's going to work. Like you need to figure out, okay, I'm going to try this and go all in on it and see what happens. And then at the end of the day, even if it doesn't work out and it doesn't end up getting the result that you were hoping for, you're still going to gain a lot of experience from that and learn a lot from it, which then you can use that experience, those learnings for the next thing. And then you'll just keep on building and eventually something will come together. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know why I had the right mindset when I was younger, like 4 or 5 years ago when I first started, but I probably wouldn't even tell myself stuff. I would just be like, keep going because I don't know. I kind of just automatically had that mindset of just keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. So yeah, but
That's
that's probably what I
great.
have to say.
Yeah, I think that's really a gift to have that mindset. And a lot of people struggle with that. But like you mentioned, staying consistent and trying and seeing for yourself what's working, not making it like, sometimes people look at it as a failure and it's something that stops them from moving forward.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be looking at failures as something negative. It's just part of the process. It's something that you need to learn to adjust, to maybe change the way you're doing things or move to a different direction. And it's showing you what you need to learn. And if we would just look at it from that perspective and not label it as something negative, but accept it as it is, not having any unpleasant feelings toward that, but really learn and see for yourself what is it that I can do that will bring me closer to my vision in life. But it will also have to be clear of what is it that we want, right? Sometimes people
Yeah.
don't know what they doing, why they doing, and what they want in life, and they kind of lost. And for you to know your GPS, where are you going, that's the most important thing, because then you have a plan
Yeah.
in your mind, you see the steps that you need to take, and that gives you more clarity, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was the biggest thing for me is figuring out kind of my why, my vision, where I'm going. But even like on the failure side of things, I've kind of taken on the mindset I took on a while ago of I don't think that most of the time at least, I don't think that you actually ever had a failure. You've simply found ways that it doesn't work. And every single, like in sales, every no is one step closer to a yes. In business, every mistake or every way that doesn't work or everything that you found that doesn't work is one step closer to finding the thing that does. So the only way that I think it's even possible to fail is if you stop, because as long as you keep pushing forward, you're just going to keep finding ways that it doesn't work until eventually you find the way that it does. And I wouldn't even call that failing. I would just call that staying consistent and continuing to grow and get better. The only way that I think you could fail is after finding those ways that it doesn't work, you threw in the towel and gave up and decided to do something else. Then you failed because the goal was to build this successful thing and you didn't do that. So yeah, that was a failure. But if you're still in process of doing it and you're still in the process of figuring things out and saying, okay, that didn't work, this didn't work, that didn't work, here's why, let's try this. That's just being in process. That's not like failures or anything. But I did learn from motocross because even with racing, like technically when you lose a race, that is kind of a failure. That is a loss. Like you just lost, plain and simple. But I learned from that how to learn from those losses and also be able to push through those mentally and get back on the saddle, get back on the bike and go out and perform again. Because I had plenty of times where I would do a race that went absolutely horribly and I would lose so bad and it would be the worst feeling ever. But I'd have another race within like the next hour that I had to go back to. And I'd have to push through that mentally of that previous one. And I'd have to have that reset because the last thing I wanted was to carry those negative emotions into that next race. And basically, like the last thought process that I needed to have was that race sucked. I don't have it in me. I can't ride well. I'm not going to do well in this next one. Like that was the worst thing to do. Luckily, I was able to kind of turn it into a bit of a motivator where I got kind of pissed off because the first race didn't go well and I'd be irritated about that. So then going into the next race, I kind of had like this fire of like, I was really angry, and I was like, that is not happening again. Like, we're gonna go out there and basically kick some ass in this one. And a lot of times that was when I would actually perform my best. I'd have this really bad race, and then the next one I would just absolutely dominate. So the racing, I think, is really what helped me push through the losses. And in business, you've got so many times that you're going to figure out things that don't work, and things are going to hit the fan, and things are going to go wrong. So I had already kind of built up the mentality of, yeah, that's going to happen. Like, most things are not going to go right. Because even in racing, I think most of the time as an athlete, you're going to have more losses than wins. Like, that's just kind of the reality of the game. So when you are able to push through and deal with that and realize, like, first of all, you're going to have more losses than wins, but the wins are going to be well worth all of those losses, and the fulfillment from it is going to be well worth all the losses. Then you can carry that into other areas, such as like business. And okay, this current situation sucks, that client left, or this isn't working, but I know that when it works, it'll be well worth all of these losses, learnings, all of those types of things. But yeah, so that I think was a big part of it.
Wow, yeah, definitely. And I like the way you approach losses, which is like it's a fuel, like a motivation for you to really use it for your next try. And that next try would be even more of a, kind of like opportunity to see what is it that you're good at, because now you know what made you to lose in the previous one, and you use that
Yeah.
as a fuel, and you see what you can accomplish now. And I think it's just the best way of doing it, because sometimes people, angry, pissed off, and they just, ready to give up. But if
Yeah.
only they just look at it from different perspective and kind of like use that energy to motivate them, they will see a much more productive result after that. And it actually what will help them to achieve goals. And I think it's a good way of really like resetting your mindset, and also not being harsh on yourself in a way that, that loss, it doesn't really, define you as a person, as a human being.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your own worth, like it's just the way it happened. It's just something you need to learn, but you shouldn't be beating yourself up to the point where, like you're
Yeah.
really not able to do anything. So, but rather use it towards your next try and see what else you can do. And also, I know you are coaching other people as well with the techniques and different practices that you learn. And for those who would like to connect with you, how they can find you online?
Yes, they can just go to my Instagram, which is Logan_Lessar. And I post on there daily, just motivation things, and also just things that I'm learning, or these concepts and techniques that I use to kind of reset my mind and get it back to back to where I need it to be and focusing. And then also posting like my daily routines, waking up at 4, going to the gym, and then kind of just my thought processes throughout the day, which I usually post on my story. But yeah, they can just go to my Instagram and reach out to me there. And if they wanted to even get on one of my programs, they could reach out to me there. Or if they just had any questions, then I'm always available to chat on there.
All right. And I'm going to also add in show notes as well. And as we close today, what would be the thought for today for our listeners?
The thought for the day. I would say I think the biggest thing is people are so afraid of failure, and they're scared of failing. And I will say that I had a massive fear of losing when it came to racing. Like, that is one of the things that held me back for years, was the fear of losing the race, because I would pull up to the starting line and I would just be so scared of losing that race that I would inevitably be self-sabotaging myself and make it to where I wasn't going to go out and perform at my best. So I know how negative the effect of that can be. And all I can say is just understand there is no failing if you don't stop trying. Like, a lot of people, even I've had some people that I've worked with, including some friends of mine, who they wanted to start their own businesses, but they were afraid of like what their family would think and all these types of things. And I was like, listen, first of all, do you want your family to be in control of your life and your future? Well, obviously not. So you should do what you want to do. But second, the only way that you could possibly fail is if you start this thing, but you give up and you actually stop. But as long as you keep pushing and they see you putting in the effort and they see you putting in the work, even if the results aren't coming yet, and even if you're not getting the results and everything, if they see your work, sacrifice, and how dedicated you are, then they're not going to look at you as a failure. They're going to look at you as somebody in process who's working on building this and working on making it successful. And they're going to look at you as somebody who is willing to do whatever it takes in order to make it work. So as long as you never stop, then you can never fail. So I think it's really the biggest thing is just understanding that and not allowing, first of all, anybody else to control your life, because you are the one in control. You're your own character. And then just not letting fear lead your life. Like don't let fear lead anything in your life, and always just the people who make it the biggest and the people who kind of achieve their dreams, goals, desires, whatever it is. It's not that they aren't scared, it's that they did it anyway. So I think those are the most important things from this.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.